What's up, Rip City? Welcome back to another Blazers post-game show. Tonight's game was the January 9th, 2021 game with the Portland Trail Blazers playing against the Sacramento Kings. The final score was 125 by the Blazers to 99 of the Kings. Now, tonight for the Blazers was a pretty good night as a fan to watch because Damian Lillard struggled from the three. I believe he went 1 of 7 or 1 of 8. And it just wasn't, he just didn't seem on from his three ball. And that's good to see that the Blazers were still able to put a sizable lead together. Granted, CJ kind of went off. He had 37 points, as I'll get to later. But it was a very good night for the Blazers. They put it together on both sides of the ball, and it was just pretty solid. The defense won the turnover battle. The Blazers were able to generate 10 steals to the Kings 4, which that is a very good thing when you're playing against a team like the Kings that like to play high tempo. Now, in my pregame from last week's postgame, if you watched that, where the keys to that game were to slow down the Kings guards. The guards of the Kings are very fast physically and in the way they play, especially De'Aaron Fox, was held to 10 points tonight. Tyrese Halliburton was held to 12, and Buddy Hield was held to 8, which is really good because the Kings like to play a lot of their offense with their guards, and along with Marvin Bagley, who did have 15, he was their leading scorer. But he also played in the fourth quarter, which none of the Blazers starters played meaningful minutes past the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. So it was really good to see the Blazers hold it down on defense pretty well tonight, especially since they're not known as a great defensive team. But since they were able to do that, they were able to climb to a very sizable lead by the end of the second quarter. And the beginning of the end of the first quarter, really, it was about a 20-point lead, and then it went to a 30-point lead, and they pretty much held that for a lot of the game. And it was pretty sizable. I must note Rodney Hood has been off as of recent, but I think you just have to give him time. He's a good player, and he'll return to his form. It's really nice to see him being able to run. He'll get that shot back. He's coming back from an injury that is a pretty serious injury, and so it's going to take him a couple games to get his shot and rhythm back down, and it's just going to come with playing time. I see a lot of people on Instagram and a couple people on YouTube that like to say that why is Rodney Hood playing? He's not shooting well, and yes, he's not shooting well, but we were playing the Kings and we were beating them by 30. So if there is a time to start trying to get your rhythm, it's when you're beating the Kings by 30. So that's my opinion on that issue, and I'm not going to touch on it for the rest of the video. But some of the things I noticed today was Derrick Jones Jr., please cut more. Terry Stotts, if you ever see this somehow, please have Derrick Jones Jr. do backdoor cuts. He is a freak of nature with that shot, and that shot the pass from Nurk to Derrick Jones Jr. tonight really exemplified what I think he can do in the offensive scheme. Also, that dunk that he had right before the lob was also very impressive. So Derrick Jones Jr., great job. Nurk's stats weren't very high today. I don't think he had more than 12 points, about 8 rebounds. And that's okay because he played with a ton of energy, and he had a lot of different things that didn't come on the boards on the stat sheet. Like when you're up by almost 30, I think it was 27, and you run 40 feet, basically the length of a court with a guard trying to get a loose ball. That's really good to see. And it's very good that he's just really putting in the work, and I think his intensity will start bringing him stats very soon, especially when he gets a guard matchup. Great ball movement tonight. Didn't see too much dribbling, a lot of passing the ball, moving it around the 3-point line, and a lot of drive and cuts. I really like to see that. A Blazers offense can get really stagnant and ISO heavy, and I think moving the ball a lot better will be able to give people like Derrick Jones Jr. and Robert Covington, who like to spot up, a lot better 3-point shots. And I think that's going to drive the team's 3-point percentage up, and I think it's going to drive the rhythm of the offense up, as we saw tonight. Another question I have for everybody here watching. Do you think CJ McCollum will be an all-star this year? I know Klay Thompson's injured, and do you think that's going to be enough to bring CJ finally into the all-star game? He's currently averaging, I believe, about 26, 27 points on a very high shooting percentage, and I think that's going to bring him into the conversation of being an all-star. I think he should be. I think that the Blazers have one of the best backcourts in the league, especially with Westbrook and Bradley Beal kind of failing this year. Since Westbrook and Harden were actually a pretty good pairing, even though they're both pretty ball-dominant guards. I just don't think and with Thompson and Curry out, that's not a very effective duo. I just can't think of another backcourt that can handle the Blazers' firepower back there. I know that CP3 and Devin Booker are pretty good, but I think that Dame's a better player than Booker, and I think CJ is playing better than Chris Paul right now. So I think CJ should be an all-star. I think that there's only probably 3 shooting guards that I think are better than he is. But that's just what I think. I think he'll be an all-star this year. I'm really hoping he'll be an all-star because that'll give Dame his first all-star teammate since LaMarcus Aldridge, I believe, which will be really nice for him to have. Obviously, Carmelo was an all-star a while back, but he's not that mellow right now. I mean, he's scoring very well, and I'm very happy with how he's been playing his role recently. But just really happy to see CJ shooting the ball well and being able to contribute for the team. I know there's a lot of calls at the beginning of the season to trade him for Harden. Right now, I'd keep CJ over Harden just because Harden brings so much baggage to the locker room. And I just think that CJ's playing very well, and I'm happy about that. Another thing tonight, Harry Giles played very well against his former team. And I'm just going to keep saying it probably every video, but I think Harry Giles deserves more minutes. I like his shot. How many bigs do you know that'll do the step back mid-range shot? Granted, he did miss the shot, but how many bigs are you okay with them taking that? I'm okay with him taking that. He's got a pretty good shot and very athletic, quick-footed, and I think that he should get more situational minutes. I know that Stotts likes to have the pretty rigid rotations, and we were already in the victory lineup with CJ Ellaby and Nasir Little who's working his way back from that COVID issue. But I'm really happy with Giles. I think he deserves more minutes and situationally, especially when they're playing against a faster big like Christian Wood. Now, I'm not saying that Harry Giles would lock down Christian Wood. I'm just saying that I think he would be better against the quicker big man like Christian Wood than an Enes Kanter would. Speaking of Nasir Little, he seems like he's been working on his shot. I noticed that Lamar Hurd and the other announcer, I haven't quite got his name down yet, on NBC Sports Northwest was talking about how he spent a lot of time working on his shot, and he had a pretty nice 3 there in garbage time. But I'm very, very happy with Nasir Little, and I think he'll be getting meaningful minutes by the end of the year, whether or not that's at the expense of Rodney Hood or not. I think Rodney will be fine. Sorry, I brought him up again after I said I wouldn't, but I think Nasir will be doing well. He's a high draft pick. He probably should have been higher. And other than the freak injuries, he's very athletic. He's a great defender, and if he develops a 3-point shot, I'll be very happy. Finally, before I give out the eye test award tonight, I must say, for as much of a critic of Terry Stotts and the coaching staff that I have been, I have to say good job tonight. He coached a very good game. Had the Blazers run not set plays. I think that Marvin Bagley at the big, when they bring in that high pick and roll, can really give the Blazers some issues because he's so long and he's actually pretty quick. So very good job on the Blazers to not run that high pick and roll and run it more sparingly than they normally do. And the ability I noticed one play they had CJ, they passed the ball to Robert Covington on the right side wing, and then they had CJ set a down screen for Nurk, which is something I've never seen before. And I know that a lot of people on YouTube and across the social media have been pushing for the Blazers to start running more plays. And being able to see something like that was really encouraging as a fan, that whether the coaching staff is listening to us or not, they're developing more ways to get the ball to the big man and more ways to get the offense flowing better than a high pick and roll, which only involves Dame or CJ. Or Gary Trent Jr. and Enes Kanter and Nurkic, depending on who's in the game. It'll involve Derek Jones Jr. and Robert Covington, who I think can get hot and go off for 15, 20 points whenever they want to. I know Derek Jones Jr. hasn't put up those kind of numbers yet, but I think he definitely will. So tonight, the eye test award goes to CJ McCollum. He had 37 points, as I said earlier, 3 assists, 3 rebounds on 13 of 22 field goal percentage, 6 of 11 from 3 with 1 steal and 1 turnover. CJ was extremely efficient tonight. He shot above 50% from 3, which is always good to see, and above 50% field goal percentage, which is also good to see. Half of his shots were 3s, and that's okay. As long as he's shooting them well. And it's just really good to see. It seemed like every time the Kings started to get any kind of momentum, CJ would just get the ball and shoot a 3 and nail it. And that's really good to see, especially when Dame isn't hitting his 3s, which that will come. And I'm just excited for the night where Dame and CJ are both hitting at a high clip, because that's going to be beautiful basketball to see. When the Blazers can put all of their elite offensive talent together, whether that's Nurk and his passing ability, Dame and his deep range and ability to finish at the rim, or CJ and his mid-range and his three-point shot, or Covington and his three-point shot, or Gary Trent and his three-point shot. The Blazers are pretty deep this year, but it'll be really nice to see when the Blazers put everything together. So that's my opinion on the Blazers-Kings game. Now on to the pregame show for next week, or technically next week. The 11th, January 11th, 2021, the Blazers will play the Toronto Raptors at Moda Center. The Raptors are the one team in the league that shoot more three-pointers. It's either shoot more three-pointers or make more three-pointers than the Blazers do during an average game. And that's pretty confusing for me, since when you think of the Raptors, you don't think of three-point shooting. You think of Pascal Siakam, who I know has a joke going around that he's spins a lot, but I think they're a pretty dangerous team, especially with a pretty good backcourt of Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, who any of them could go off for 25 points a night. You just have to take care of the ball against the Raptors. They're a pretty good defensive team, from what I was able to gather from film and stuff. The Raptors, I think the key to beating the Raptors is to keep Siakam and VanVleet below 20 points. Fred VanVleet can get really hot from three, and he's pretty shifty. He's kind of like a Curry light, in my opinion. He's able to get around screens and just put up a shot wherever he wants to, and he hits a lot of the shots that he shoots. So I think that if you can take care of VanVleet and Siakam, I think that'll be a very good plan for the Blazers to play against the Toronto Raptors on the 11th. So that's the plan, and that's what I hope the plan is. And my prediction for that game is Damian Lillard will shoot above 50% from three. Nurkic will get a 20-point double-double. And I know that seems odd, and if I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. That's why it's a prediction. So, signing off for now, this is Paul Bjornsgaard. Welcome to my channel, and peace out.